Hello there, and everybody, welcome back to What About Remembering Me, where we are talking about self care in every type of way. And today we are talking about self care during the holiday season.
Mhm. Welcome to it. I love the holidays. I
I do
really
too.
do. I love the traditions. I love the food. Let me just be honest. I love the food that comes along, with it. But I also know that there are some challenges that,
Yes, there are.
come along with the holidays. And we were talking, and we were just talking about some of the themes that we've been hearing from some of the clients that we work with as we're approaching the holidays and just some of the things that they are challenged with. And I thought this would be like a good, larger conversation because
Yes, for sure.
they're experiencing it. And I think we've all kind of experienced it to a certain capacity. Let's just have a bigger conversation about what it means to take care of yourself during the holiday season.
So when it comes to the holidays, it's like one or two extremes.
Mhm.
You're either like super excited because it's the holidays, oh my gosh, love, love, love it.
Mhm.
Or you might be on the other end where there's sadness attached
Mhm.
to the holidays. And the sadness can be because you've lost a loved one. This might be your first time without that loved one,
Mhm.
or you've lost a loved one during the holiday season. And so, whenever the holidays come around, you are constantly reminded. Or, as Val and I were talking, you just recently divorced
Mhm.
and you're now having to navigate, how do I do the holidays without my children?
Mhm.
Because this is not my norm. And then there's the other part of the sadness or angst or whatever kind of descriptive word you want to use,
Mhm.
is when things just aren't so great in the family.
Mhm.
And I either want to keep myself removed from them because it's just so toxic,
Mhm.
or I'm going to insert myself knowing they are about to drain everything out of me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I don't know what folks are experiencing, but I think that maybe there could be a pathway forward when we think about, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
I know it's going to bring on some of those feelings of sadness. What I also hear is the feelings of worry. There's like this anticipation, right? Of I know my family, I know how they're going to react to certain things, I know how they're going to come for me because historically they have told us a story, about oh my gosh, so our clients, they've been working with us all year long, right? Oh my gosh, they've been doing
Yes.
good things like these are my boundaries, and I've been putting my boundaries in place with my friends or new people that are coming into my life, or I've been learning how to walk through the really challenging feelings of life. So if I'm experiencing sadness, I know what I need to do to heal myself, how to pour into myself to get to the other side of sadness, or worry, to take worry and say, okay, yes, I know what's, me just building a story in my head, or I know what's really real. I mean, our clients have done such a good job throughout the year. And this is the test. This
Ooh,
is
this
the
is like the
test.
final exam.
This is the final exam. Like, okay, I've done it with my friends, I've done it with my partners, I've done it with my coworkers, I've even done it with my boss. But family, it's that biological DNA strand that is like, oh my gosh, like you said, this is the final exam to begin to say, how do I put all these skills that I've been learning into place to say, okay, I'm going to walk through this, or I'm going to have this
Hmm.
experience, and it's not going to be like 2023. It's going to be, or not like 2022. It's going to be 2024 is really going to look differently for me, as I continue to have these interactions, with my family or my loved ones too.
And it's practice.
Mhm.
Definitely, I would say to prepare for anything, whether it's going to be sadness or you're going in anxious. If you are in therapy, it's talking about it with your therapist. Do role playing. What are going to be some of the things that you need to do? So I had a client,
Mhm.
and the holidays are always, for
Mhm.
her and her family and extended family, it's just always like
Mhm.
a big deal, and not like the best way. And so her plan of escape, of not having to deal with anything, she's like, I'll just like go out the country every year. I was like, what? She's like, I wanted to travel. I was like, okay. I was like, so every year for Thanksgiving and Christmas, what you're telling me during the most expensive time of the year to travel, is when you're going to choose to travel. Not
Mhm.
only choose to travel, but travel outside of the country to
Yeah.
just not have to deal with anything. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, that's so unrealistic. It sounds great, but like it's unrealistic. And so let us set realistic expectations because running might seem like, yes, I could just run away from it. We're going to have to face some things. And when we're saying face it, we're not saying that anybody should be ridiculed or feel less than, but we're going to grow when we figure out what to do and what not to do. But complete avoidance
Mhm.
is not the answer.
Mhm.
But also, let's not sit there and be upset and be like, oh, no, 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 no. Like, I hate every moment of this, but I'm just going to go through with this.
Mhm.
It's knowing your boundaries. It's knowing what am I willing to take and what
Mhm.
am I not willing to take.
Mhm.
We already know, like, it's football season.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to use a football analogy. Hopefully, you all understand. But everybody has a playbook. All the players, all the
Mhm.
teams have a playbook.
Mhm.
We can't say when we go home
Mhm.
that we don't already know what auntie and uncle are going to say. They more than likely say the exact same things every single year. We
Mhm.
already know where the conversations are going to lead. Like everybody has their playbook, and it's been the same playbook for several years, more than several years, like probably your whole life. This is just how it goes.
Mhm.
So you already have the answers to the test.
Mhm.
So now that I've got the playbook and I know what everybody's going to be doing,
Mhm.
I know how to maneuver. I
Mhm.
know, maybe I don't need to show up right on time.
Listen.
I need to show up because I know a whole lot of arguing is going to happen the first 2 hours. So let me just skip over that and
Mhm.
like show up right when they're ready to eat because that's when like the calm happens.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. And then it's also maybe planning, when do I leave? Yes, I've had my
That part. You
said
don't
my
have to stay
rounds
there
of
the whole time.
I've said my rounds of hellos, and I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys throughout the next year. It's like the playbook, and it's also have your script, prepared, too, as well. Because the one fortunate thing about family, unless somebody's gonna come up and turn out to be brand new, like, okay, cousin, you brand new this year, this is something new. No, it's like this is why we have these feelings, because we kind of anticipate, okay, just because what history has told me, this is what I need to probably
Mhm.
prepare myself for, because I haven't heard my family saying that they've been engaging in some strategies to, not be as harmful, or to recognize why all this harm. I haven't heard that throughout
Mhm.
the whole year. So I kind of know what it's supposed to be. You know the playbook, and also have your script, prepared,
For
too.
sure.
How do you come? How do you interact? And how do you leave? What do you really feel needs to be said? In this particular moment, is this the appropriate place for me to say, grandma X, Y, and Z, and grandma, is this the appropriate setting to have that particular, conversation? Or mom, you never really is this the appropriate place for it to be
Mhm.
heard and received, and to see some really good change to come from it? So if this is the holidays that you're going to do, it's like, okay, you got your playbook, you know the players, you know who's going to be there. What is your script that you're choosing to follow, during this time, too, as well?
Oh yeah.
You know,
It's
I'm sorry. You brought
oh.
this piece too of for parents, who might be going through something, or partners who are co-parenting, and now the holidays look a little bit different. I want to tell you something about kids. Boy, do they have an imagination, right? And I think, as the parent who is not going to have your child during this particular holiday, and you guys have had some traditions going on, allow your kids' imaginations and your imaginations to blossom, right?
Mhm.
How can we create something new, something different, something fantastic? Who decided Thanksgiving has to be on the fourth Thursday, of the year, right? I
That is
mean,
so true.
why can't it be if you have your children on that Friday? This is our Thanksgiving. This is it is about the time spent. It is about the quality of the interaction. It is about the joy, the new memories, the new things you guys do together. It is about the feeling that they walk away with,
Mhm.
So if it's don't hold on to this fourth Thursday date like it needs to be. It doesn't. It doesn't. It needs to be when I do have them, what is the quality of the interaction? And the same
Yes.
goes, for Christmas. I heard a colleague say that just because she really didn't give the details behind it, but what she said is that for some reason it just so happened to fall into place that we have been celebrating Christmas at different times of the year for the past, several years. So sometimes it just so happened that we would celebrate Christmas on January 20th, or we're celebrating Christmas December 20th. We're picking, it's the whole concept of when does everybody get together on this particular day. This is
Mm.
our families. And it's just been a tradition where the children just say, okay, I know that we're here together. The celebration, now begins too as well. So know the script, write the script in terms of how you want this to all play out. And it can be played out any way the script is written.
Yes, don't I love that. I love
Mhm,
that. We don't have to follow a calendar. We
mhm,
don't have to follow what everybody is saying to do on social media. It's really about doing what makes sense for you, what's
mhm,
going to keep you mentally and emotionally well.
mhm,
That's what matters above all things.
mhm, mhm. So we know that, oh gosh, okay, it's the anticipation because the holidays are about to kick off, at least, as we're recording this next week, and it's like, I know people are with the feeling. It's like, what do you do to pour into yourself, before it happens, the before? What are some things folks can do in the before season of saying, okay, I got this trip planned, or I know I have to go across town for dinner or for brunch? What are some things that people can do in the beforehand in terms of, oh gosh, mentally preparing for what is to come?
Well, I've already said if you
Mhm,
have a therapist, please role play.
mhm,
I
yeah,
love doing role play with my
me
clients
too.
because you probably have already told us a lot about the people
Mhm,
that that really give you the heebie-jeebies. So we
mhm,
can get in character mode. We
yes.
can get in character to help you prepare
Mm,
and then like really discuss like, hey, this is how you reacted, but what if they did say the things that I said? Let's prepare you for what's to come. If you got
mhm,
to set a timer,
mhm,
do that
mhm.
for
Yep,
nobody has to know why you're leaving.
no one. Mm-mm, no one.
I'm actually envious of those like house hoppers that they just come get the food and go on to somebody else. I'm like, you're really smart. You're really smart. We might talk about you, but like, you know what? I'm just here for the happy stuff. And I'm going to keep myself happy and being happy is being around people, getting the food and going. I don't hang out too long,
Mhm,
but it's knowing your escape
mhm, mhm,
when you already start to feel, if you're like, you know what, I really don't know what time I want to leave, but the moment questions start coming and already preparing in your head, like, hey, if I
mhm,
begin to see these particular things take place, these particular
mhm,
actions, that's my cue. It is
mhm,
time to go. Because again, if you know the playbook,
mhm,
you already know what's about to ramp up and happen with what's taking place.
mhm,
It's if you're in a place of I'm hurt
mhm,
because I miss someone, what can be done to honor that person?
mhm,
What can be done to remember them? Not
mhm,
only just you individually, but even collectively as a family. So we don't forget just the traditions that they wanted us to have or just that person's presence.
mhm,
Them not being there doesn't mean that we can't be joyous, doesn't mean that we still can't celebrate who they
mhm.
are.
Because if you think about who that person was, and for them to know that, we got some family members that they would be really upset that you guys, or they would be upset that you didn't say their name during prayer, or the family member that is no longer with us, and you know them, how they would want to be honored, moving forward, how their presence. So if it's their favorite meal, let's make sure, oh goodness, nobody really liked the beet casserole, but they did, but we're gonna go ahead and, make it anyway. Maybe somebody
But
will
that
like.
gives you something to laugh about and
Yeah,
talk about.
exactly. Like, why'd you make beets? so good and well, Uncle so and so's. But whatever it is, it's the way we bring them back and we honor them and remember in the conversation. And so I also want to move it to, okay, that is like a great pathway to think about, okay, how do we prepare ourselves before? But like in the midst of it, I just want to tell people, listen, we're not going to go back to our old timey coping mechanisms. We are not going to get drunk. We are not going to get high. We are not going to be doing anything that, right? We're not going to be overeating, or we're not going to enjoy our meal in terms of being under eating. You know, we're not going to go back and revert to old coping mechanisms to say, how do we get through this moment? Because I kid you not, you have the tools, you have the skills to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing the healthy, you know, in this, you know, too as well. And especially if you drove over there and now you're talking about, oh my gosh, I had a little bit too much to drink, or I was smoking X, Y, and Z with so and so, and now I have my car here, and how do I escape from? No, we're gonna say let's tap into during being mindful, being present, you know, being, you know, listening to your own cognitions, the story that you're
Mm-hmm.
telling, all these things that we've been working on throughout the year. That is what you're going to tap into, because you know, if I have a drink, loose lips, you know, drunk mouth,
Ooh.
loose lips, all that, sober tongue, drunk. And you know, what does they say? A drunk tongue is a sober tongue, like your truth begins to start to spew forth. Listen, we're not
You
going,
know your triggers.
we know our
And if
truth.
you're beginning to see your triggers around you,
Hmm.
if you're beginning to see things that are tempting around you,
Hmm.
please leave.
Yes. Hmm.
It is our responsibility to
Hmm.
take care of ourselves. It would be great if
Hmm.
people respected our triggers, respected the things that are our weaknesses. For instance, if you have a weakness to alcohol, if you have a weakness to chocolate, whatever your weakness may be,
Yes.
it would be great if other people took that into consideration, but they're
Mhm.
allowed to not do that.
Exactly. Mhm.
So, what are you going to do when you see that thing where you're like, why did they bring that here?
Mhm.
Baby, you better turn the other way.
Other way, you know, what, you know, I have even done in the past. If I know I'm going to a place where people are eating things that I know I should have no business eating, just because if it's dietary, doesn't really go with, you know, what it is that I'm going on in terms of, I bring a little bit of my own, right? And sometimes you can be the one to bring the non-alcoholic beverage. Ooh, I'm gonna make a cocktail for you, not knowing it's a mocktail, right? I got something for you. I got something for y'all. So you can have your own supply, because sometimes it's still the tradition of, oh my gosh, I want to have a cup. I want to have something, you know, in my cup too. And maybe ginger ale might be the strongest thing for us in the time and the space, you know, that we're in, you know, in this moment. But think about, how do you anticipate that? Like, I want to be around them, but I know they drink and I'm in the midst of my sobriety. How do I, rather than saying no, 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 like I got something already going on, you know, right here. How do you, again, a part of the script, how do you incorporate that, you know, into that moment? And how do you say no? You know, what does no look like, you know, for you around your family? No, in a way that, you know, okay, this will probably, you know, resonate, you know, with that particular family member or certain family members too, while you're in the midst, you know, of it.
And if you have it in with a family member who you
Mhm.
know you can really have a genuine conversation with, talk with them beforehand,
Mhm.
particularly if you are having triggers, if there are things that are a weakness for you, where if alcohol is a problem, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
already have that conversation because you know, Auntie loves me. Okay, then go
Mhm.
ahead and talk to Auntie before you ever get there days before. So she's already looking out. So
Mhm.
Uncle's already looking out. And it helps you build even a village within the village. Cause you know
Mhm.
somebody's gonna be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And that person's like, leave them alone.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. It is a
Because
big deal.
you might get choked up and it'll be hard for you to find your voice. Because again, like we said, it might have been easy until now you're here at the final exam and
Mhm.
you might need some
Yeah.
support,
Mhm.
some extra credit. And that's where
Mhm.
auntie, uncle, cousin, whomever. So if you've got somebody who you know isn't
Mhm.
going to go blab and tell everything, but they can help you be your most healthy self, let
Mhm.
them know so
Mhm.
that you've got just the extra pair of eyes and the extra pair of ears that are there being like, will you leave them alone? They already told you no.
No. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. I love it. I love it. Just having the extra support there, you know, too, as well, if that's there for you. So we've talked about the before, the during. Okay, after. Oh, Dr.
Woo!
After. Okay, after I have made it, did the build up. I went to this gathering. After, what does self-care look like after? Oh,
First exhale.
yes.
Like, woo! Got out of there.
That's it. Mhm. And celebrate the fact of I walked this journey a little bit differently. You know, even
You did it.
it might not be 100% the way you envisioned it in your head or the way you had the story play out in your head, but you were
Hmm.
intentional and you walked this interaction, this big family gathering different. And even if it's a small, it could just be meeting up with one person. You walk through this a little bit differently than what you did before, or you walk through it saying, no, I did the things that I was supposed to do, you know, the great majority of the things that I was intending to do, just to give yourself, you know, that praise, that grace to say, yes, this journey can be walked a little bit differently.
Yes. A
Mhm.
round of applause for yourself. And then when
Mhm.
you go to therapy,
Yes.
you'll talk about everything. Guess who did this? This is what happened.
Mhm.
Hey, and then it's processing. If there were some areas where like that was a struggle for us to process and work through,
Mhm.
because if we're just dealing with Thanksgiving, what you
Yeah.
gonna do for Christmas? What are
Mhm.
you gonna do for New Year's? It's the
Hey.
holiday season. It's never just one
Mhm.
day.
Yeah. And I want to shout out, you know, our other counterparts because it's like, oh my gosh, you might have some family members that do Christmas, some do Hanukkah. I was like, I was talking to one, I was like, then they do Kwanzaa, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it, it is a lot, and there's very little time in between each big thing too, as well to say, how do I breathe? But I need you to find your breath. You know, I
Hmm.
need you to find your breath. And if it is too much as you're jumping through the things, what is the reason? And it's not an excuse. It's more of an explanation that you're giving to folks. Like, maybe not this year. You know, maybe not this year. You know, I do have something going on, but I'm looking forward to seeing you in such and such. If the bouncing between event to event to event, it becomes overwhelming, how do you begin again writing that script to say, I can't do I can't do y'all like that. It's like ping pong. I can't go.
Oh my gosh, you
Yeah.
just reminded me, like hearing all of this and talking at my job, there was um somebody that comes in, like work with childcare. So like DCF always has to come in to monitor. And like when she came in, we're like, oh my God, like we saw that she had lost so much weight. And we're like, how did you do it? She literally said, she was like, I lied to my family and did not go around them for a year. And we're like, what? And she was just like, every time there was a family event, she was like, and it was tough during the holidays having to tell my mom, no, I can't come,
Mhm.
because she was like, I knew I was too weak to be around them as I
Mhm.
was losing weight
Mhm.
with everything that was going to be there. So she's like, for a whole year, I kept
Mhm.
making excuses to not be
Mhm.
around them until I
Mhm.
got to a strong place that
Yeah.
I've lost the weight and
Mhm.
I'm able to be around things that are tempting and not do. And we're like, that's a lot of like self will.
Yes. Mhm. It is. And we probably might need to tap into her scripts. You know, give me some of those explanations that you gave them, you know,
Is
throughout the course.
she didn't say they accepted or they liked it, but it was just like, because people are gonna ask. But
Mhm.
she was, what she's showing is like, I was willing to stay with it. I was
Mhm.
willing to stay the course. And yes, I made people upset. Yes, mama didn't like it. I
Mhm.
may not have liked not seeing my mom, but I knew I was too weak to
Yeah.
be around this. I
Mhm.
was not in a healthy place to
Mhm.
be around that. Now I am in a healthy place. I'm
Mhm.
around, I can handle it, I can do it. But
Mhm.
at that low point where
Yeah.
I am striving, where I am doing the work, but I'm
Mhm.
not ready yet, I
Mhm.
need to be someplace where it's healthy for me. And
Mhm.
for her, that
Mhm.
healthy place was not around family at that time.
Exactly. Mhm. And so we make those judgment calls and we do what resonates for us because the self care, this is definitely the opportunity to say, is my oxygen mask on, right? When we think about
Hmm.
that, right? Okay, my oxygen mask on it, but am I breathing in the oxygen that it's going to take for me, you know, to say, okay, I can be a help to others or I can be supportive around others, that I am taken care of first, in this, journey, because our family, I think at the end of the day, they have the best intentions for us,
Yes.
and they want the best for us, and they desire the best for us. But sometimes they just don't understand what that takes for me to get to this
Mm-hmm.
best version of myself. So during this holiday season, just hold on to the fact that our families, if they want us around, there's a reason why they want us around, right? So just know that, okay, if they want me around, if it's such a big deal, I know they have my best intentions, here for me. And how do I use that to say, okay, I know
Mm-hmm.
what's going to be take me to get to a space and a place to be a better version of myself around them, too as well. But I also want to speak a little bit to the loneliness, for a lot of, folks who don't have family, or they feel so isolated from their family that there is no plan, for Thanksgiving. There is no plan for, the other holidays, that are to come. What would our suggestion be for those who are feeling like they're in a season of isolation? Like I've heard some clients say, yeah, I really don't have anybody, or my family is so far away. It's not possible for me to get to them. I'm just going to be working. I'm the one who's picked up all the shifts, during the holidays. What would we say to those folks in terms of self-care who are dealing with this spirit of isolation?
Well, it depends on, am I not able to get to them because I
Mhm.
just financially can't get to them? Or
Mhm.
is there just a lot of drama going on and it's best for me to stay away? If
Mhm.
it's the first, where just financially,
Mhm.
listen, we've come so far with technology,
Mhm.
and there's a Zoom time where, you know what? I can't possibly be the only one that didn't make it. Even if I was, can we just set aside some time for us to Zoom? Because I do want to see you and you all want to see me. And hopefully somebody even at work realizes, hey, do you
Yeah.
want somewhere to go?
Mhm. Or do you need a plate?
Or
Would you like a plate?
even
Yeah.
asking. I
Yeah.
think sometimes we don't want to ask, but
Yeah.
like if you do want to be around somebody, if there's somebody at the job that you actually do like,
Mhm.
hey, I don't have anywhere to go. Is it okay if I come over there?
Exactly. Mhm.
Because
Exactly.
the great thing about this season,
Mhm.
everybody's got the good
They
heebie-jeebies going.
do.
Everybody's like, oh, yay, 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 yay.
And this is the spirit, the see people really fall into saying, how can I be a friend to man? How can I really be supportive, of those who are in my circle, those who are in proximity to me, to tap in, to that. I remember having a colleague. I remember one year we told her that we were staying in our hometown. We weren't going to be traveling. She was like, I think you and your husband and your children should come over to my house for Thanksgiving. I'm going to have so many people
Oh.
here. She was like, it's just been pressing on my heart, just to, and I was like, no, actually, we are enjoying this moment of just not having. And she was like, oh, okay, because she was like, Valor, I was really like, no, you guys have a home you can come to. Like, it is here for you. And I was like, thank you. This is the reason why I love you. But no, seriously, 100,000%, we are really good, in this season. And I think that it sparks up something within folks too, as well. So even in the spirit of loneliness that you might experiencing, be a little vulnerable to tell those who you like, who you have rapport with, who you have relationship with, because you don't know what doors to your new created family, the family that's not biological, that you could possibly be making, just in terms of being a little vulnerable to share with others what you're going
And for those where it's not
through.
great,
Mhm.
I have a client and that person's just like, what do I say? I'm seeing somebody. And like, do I tell them everything is great in the family? I'm like, don't start lying. I was like, but you can just say, you know what? It's
Mhm.
not, my family isn't in a good place right now. I was like,
Mhm.
and that speaks volumes.
Mhm.
You don't have
Mhm.
to go into the details,
Mhm.
but it is now, what are you going to do if going home is not the option? And they have friends, they have
Mhm.
other people who they know genuinely care about
Mhm.
them for
Yeah.
them to go to.
Mhm.
But it is hurtful, and it is acknowledging it and processing it,
Mhm.
because not being with your family, even when you want to, but it's just too hurtful, it's
Mhm.
still like you're not celebrating that.
Mhm. 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 So we have definitely, Dr. B, given folks an opportunity to think about, okay,
Hmm.
before in this season, during, hold on to your playbook, hold on to your script, and even in the afterwards, how do you take care, of yourself. I saw this funny meme. I think it was on Instagram where this lady had this sign on her cubicle, after the holidays. And I was thinking, what a wonderful way for self-care. Like, please don't come up asking me 1,000,005 questions, because usually when you go back to the office, how are the
Everybody want
holidays? Da, 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 da. What did you do? What did you
to
were not prepared to have that conversation with your colleague. I need you to take this woman's advice. She had this little sign posted to her cubicle said, "My weekend was great. The holidays were great. I was well fed. Thanks for asking or thanks for thinking about me. I really got a ton of work to do to catch up, after the holidays." And so it was already there. So people already saw it. So they already knew, like, oh, let me not ask her. Because she already had the sign up. Weekend was great. Holidays was great. Ate good food. I got a ton of work to catch up on, talk to you later or something, to that nature too as well. And I was like, if that is what's going to help prepare you, because colleagues will come one after the other. And if it is something hard to go back there, with them or to resurface with them, put your little sign on the cubicle, put the little sign
already set your boundary.
on the door. If you want your reply, your auto office email to be like that, holidays were great. Da, 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 da. Got tons of projects to work on. See you when I see you, pretty much. It gives people the idea like, oh, answered all my questions. So I don't have to.
Hopefully they get the hit. Hopefully they get the hit.
Hey, hopefully. Oh goodness. So I guess with that, we just wish folks a happy holiday season and
Enjoy the time.
and tap into these skills that we are talking about and just enjoy what the season has to bring for you.
For sure. So thank you for tuning in and share this with anybody you feel that needs it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.